Hello everyone, this is John and this is the weekly water outlook for the Southeast U.S. on July 28th, 2013. Here's the jet stream pattern. I mentioned last week that we're getting once again into this amplified type pattern. What this does is this brings the jet stream ridging or building of high pressure over the west and digging over the east. And for our area, this brings pulses of energy into the southeast U.S., but normally more of the Carolinas, Virginia, and the northern part of the southeast U.S. Southeast U.S. is usually, or the southern part of the southeast U.S. can be a bit quieter with the energy going off to the north. So if we look at the tropics here, you might mention that we had a tropical storm out there for a while, and that has dissipated. Right now, the environment is fairly unfavorable. We have some dry air, we have some shear. So right now there are some pockets of tropical activity out there, but there are only low probabilities of developing into a system. Now one thing I really like to sort of mention here, I know I sort of harp on this a lot, is oftentimes we have these pockets of tropical moisture. And if these tropical pockets of moisture sort of work their way inland, that's when you can get very heavy rain. So let's keep an eye. It doesn't have to be just the named storm. Any of these areas of tropical moisture, if they start to plume inward, that can provide significant moisture to produce very heavy rainfall. So I'll keep an eye on that. Right now, it looks like the ones that are out there will just hug the coast this week and perhaps enhance rainfall. So we'll keep an eye on how that develops. So for the past 7 days over the southeast U.S., like we've seen week after week after week, some weeks more, some weeks less, but almost every week precipitation of some significance over the region. This past week it looks like Alabama and parts of western North Carolina. Hickory, North Carolina received over 5 inches of rain. But look at these pockets of red. These are up to 5 inches of rain, pretty widespread, 2 inches to 3 inches over Alabama right in here. And then this is the area where some of the higher elevations, very heavy rainfall, flash flooding. But pockets of heavy rain just about everywhere over the southeast U.S. So another wet week. And one of the things from week to week, it's sort of been shifting. Some weeks over Alabama, northern Georgia, other weeks over the Carolinas. But almost in any given week, there's been very significant precipitation somewhere over the southeast U.S. Now last week you can see the areas, the most significant rainfall, 2 times normal or more. That's that area blue and purple, and areas below normal were the eastern part. So here's a case where North Carolina, the west, a lot of rain, east, not much rain at all. So it is somewhat variable. Here in Georgia, we see blues and reds, and that means pretty much typical scattered showers and thunderstorms summertime. In Alabama, very widespread soaking rainfall. Now I wanted to step back and look at the last 30 days, and this is something we all know this, but it's really getting to be pretty amazing how wet it's been, starting in spring and now going into the summer. This is a 30-day average, and keep in mind that when further you go out with your average, 30 days, these strong trends will tend to moderate a bit. But this is showing a lot of blue, very widespread, all the way from Virginia across the Carolinas, Kentucky, Tennessee, Georgia, Alabama. Then it decreases in Mississippi. But that area of blue dark blue is 2 times normal. The area of purple is 3 times normal over the last 30-day period. And you can see this, I just picked one point here for the accumulated precipitation. This is Atlantic Georgia. And basically what this line here, if I can draw it straight, that's what would be normal precipitation. And below this line in purple are deficits, and ahead of it or above it in green are surpluses of precipitation. So you can really see here from a long-term perspective as we got into the spring where we really flipped around. Actually, we started it back here. You can see we started off with deficits. This was the drought conditions, and we eroded that away, got back close to normal by spring, and ever since then we've been accumulating surpluses. And if you look at this trend line here, look at this. It continues very steady increase or surplus of precipitation over Atlanta, and I think that can be representative of other parts of the southeast U.S. as well. So not only did we make up deficits from a long-term drought, now we're accumulating at a fairly fast rate accumulations of precipitation. So the maximum consecutive dry days, look at this. It's pretty amazing. 0 to 2. Look at how widespread the 0 to 2 is over the southeast U.S. That means we've only had 0, 1, or 2 consecutive days without any rain over the last 30 days over a very broad part of the southeast U.S. So as you might expect, stream flow is running very high. We have much above normal over widespread parts of the area. But the only exception of normal stream flow is sort of parts of the eastern North Carolina into eastern Virginia. Flood stage or very high flows over the higher elevations of the western parts of the Carolinas, Virginia, North Georgia. So keep in mind here that not only do we have saturated soils, we have very high stream flow. We remain highly vulnerable for inland flooding should a tropical system move in or we get a plume of tropical moisture. So we remain vulnerable, and actually we're increasing our vulnerability. So a jet stream analysis, I really don't see a whole lot of change. Sometimes in summer we don't have such vigorous type systems. We've already been in this pattern 1 week. It looks like this week will be a second week of this persistent pattern, and right now it looks like it's going to continue for a third week next week as well. So the type of conditions that we've received don't look like they're going to change a whole lot. The rainfall forecast for the next 7 days, well, it's more moderate across the southeast U.S. This blanket area of an inch or so is typical of, it's hard to say exactly where the pockets of heavy rain will be, but this is the type of pattern we're seeing for week after week after week. Rainfall every couple days. We do see some enhancement along the immediate coast with the tropical moisture pushing in and sea breeze interaction. Elsewhere, pretty steady forecasts of an inch or so over the region over the next week. I think it's interesting to keep an eye on the second week, August 5th through 13th. There is an uptick in precipitation potential. Now these models, when we look at it second week, they can flip-flop very quickly, so this could be gone tomorrow. But I want to bring it to your attention, and I will put out something later this week if it looks like it's going to persist, because on top of the wet conditions, this could enhance the risk for flooding in week 2. So the takeaway points from this week's briefing, well, guess what? More rain. Keep an eye on tropical moisture. If anything develops, or even if it doesn't, if that tropical moisture pushes inland, that would enhance the potential for rainfall. Generally more modest rainfall this week, but watch for surprises. We can get this enhanced rainfall like we saw in western North Carolina at Hickory in that area. Keep an eye on that. And then week 2 might be interesting. We'll have to just keep an eye on it and see if that does continue to develop. As always, nice talking with you, and I will be providing another briefing next week.